This is the Math 8 Unit 3 Accommodated Quiz number 2 form. Any short answer questions use lowercase letters only. There is a work reference document for this quiz. Please make sure to upload your work for number 23, and 24. Go ahead and type in your last name, first name, choose your class period. Number 1, interpreting graphs. Tom is taking a walk from his house. He is interested in how far this walk will take him. Opposite Tom's home is a hill. Tom climbed slowly up the hill at a constant rate, walked across the top at a constant rate, and then quickly ran down the other side at a constant rate. Which graph best models this scenario? Make sure you take a look at your labels. Is it option 2 or option 3? We're talking distance. Number 2, which graph best represents the relationship between the height of a burning candle and the amount of time that passes as the candle burns? Again, look at your labels. Option 2 or option 3? Number 3, the graph below represents Lynn's car trip from her house to the mall and then back to her house. If each section of the graph represents part of Lynn's trip, which part of the trip took the least amount of time? Hold Control and tap the plus if you need to zoom in. So what part took the least amount of time? Was it section T or section Q? T is here, Q is towards the beginning. Number 4, the graph below represents which of the following relationships between temperature and time? Is it the oven temperature while cake is baking? Or is it temperature of water that is heated on a stove, removed, and then allowed to cool? Number 5, the graph below represents Cheyenne's bicycle trip from her house to a friend's house. On which segment of the graph does it appear that Cheyenne was riding her bike at the slowest pace? Note, this is a distance graph. Is it section R or section T? Which one is she moving away from home slowly? Number 6, the graph below represents Cheyenne's bike trip from her house to a friend's house. On which segment of the graph does it appear that Cheyenne was riding her bike the fastest? Note, this is a speed graph. Is it section R or section U? Number 7, Gina did a research project on how age affects sleep patterns. She concluded that as people age, they sleep fewer hours until a point in adulthood when the number of hours remains constant. Gina also found that after the age of 70, the amount of time spent sleeping increases slightly. Which graph below best shows Gina's results? Again, look at the label. Amount of sleep is on the y-axis, and the age is on the x-axis. Is it option 1 or option 3? Number 8, Karen jogs at a constant speed around her neighborhood. She then increased her speed to get away from a dog chasing her. Which graph best shows the situation? So the labels are speed and time. Is it option 2 or option 3? Number 9, it took me several breaths to inflate or air up a balloon. As I started to tie it off, it slipped from my hand and flew around the room. The amount of the air in the balloon is the dependent or on the y-axis. Which graph best matches this scenario? Option 1 or option 2? Number 10, the amount of money in my savings account started off growing slowly because I didn't have much money in it. However, now that I have a larger amount in the account, interest is helping my account grow much faster. The balance in my savings account is the dependent variable, or the y. Which graph best matches this scenario? Option 2 or option 3? Number 11, I put water in the ice cube tray and placed it in the freezer to make ice. The temperature of the water in the ice cube tray is the dependent or y variable. Which graph best matches the scenario? Hint, as the water turns to ice, the temperature is getting colder. So think about it. On the y-axis, you have temperature over time. Is it option 1 or option 2? Number 12, I started walking to class at a constant pace, but realized I was going to be late, so I started walking faster at a constant rate until I reached class. The distance from the classroom is on the y-axis. Which graph best matches this scenario? So this is a distance graph. Is it option 1 or option 3? Number 13. The graph below displays the temperature highs and lows over a 2-day period. Which of the given statements is true? So you have temperature and time. Is day 2 had a lower temperature than day 1, or day 1 got warmer faster than day 2? Number 14, you begin your bike ride by riding down a hill. Then you ride up another hill. Finally, you ride along a level surface before coming to a stop. Which graph shows this? Note, this is a speed graph. Think about what your speed is doing on the hill. Is it option 1 or option 2? Number 16, the graph represents the time in minutes it took Christine to get from her house to the office, including the time it took to pick up 2 friends, Laura and Jim, along the way. The y-axis represents the distance traveled by Christine throughout her morning to commute to work. How many miles did Christine travel during section D? So take a look at D. So how many miles did she travel in section D? So take a look where D is, and then look at your labels on the y-axis. How many miles did she travel? Was it 2 miles or 0 miles because she stopped? These are distance versus speed graphs. Number 17 through 22. Below are 2 graphs that look the same. Each graph describes a trip a car made. Analyze the graphs and answer the questions below. So this first graph, take a look. It's a distance graph, and graph 2 is a speed graph. So if it helps you to put numbers on the y-axis to help you figure out the questions, I would do it. Number 17, for graph 1, which is your distance graph, identify which section shows the car driving the fastest. Is it A or C? Number 18, for graph 2, which is the speed graph, identify which section shows the car driving the fastest. Is it A or D? Number 19, for graph 1, the distance graph, identify the section where the car is furthest away. Is it C or D? Number 21, is section C on either of the graphs linear? No. Yes. Number 22, is the whole graph from start to finish classified as a linear graph? No. Yes. Numbers 23 through 24, you're substituting a value into the equation to find y. So use the function rule y equals 2x plus 4. So write that on your work document. To find the y values for the given x values, you will put the ordered pairs for your answers in the questions below. So when you write your answers or find your answers, it's going to be written as an ordered pair. So what is y? What is the ordered pair when x is 3? Is it 3, 8? Is the y 8? Or is the y 10 in 3, 10? Number 24, what do you get when the ordered pair is x is 2? Do you get y as an 8 or y as a 1? So your ordered pair is 2, 8 or 2, 1. Number 25, you're identifying graph characteristics. Take a look at this graph here. Number 25A, is this graph linear or not linear? Linear, not linear. Is the graph continuous or discrete? 25C, is the graph increasing, decreasing, or both? We're going to do the same thing for number 26. Take a look at this graph for 26. Is the graph linear or not linear? 26b, is the graph continuous or discrete? Number 26, is the graph increasing, decreasing, or both? Take a look at number 27. 27 graph has just dots on it. Is the graph linear or not linear? 27b, is the graph continuous or discrete? 27c, is the graph increasing, decreasing, or both? Finally, if you chose the read aloud option, choose yes. If you did not, click no. And then before you turn this in, make sure you check your answers, your work document is complete, and that you are not to leave the class until this is completely done.